from the government, and I'm here to help.
Take a look, it's in a book.
Some members of the community use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda.
Let's watch. Figure it out.
Welcome back, everybody. This is another dank episode. We figured it out. I'm your boy, Michael.
I'm Matt.
And we are the End of Days best friends. And today we have a buddy on that I've been kind of chit-chatting with here and there. Another regular dude, host of the Cryptid Warfare podcast, Drewski. How's it going, man?
What's going on, brother? Just trying to get a little warm in this garage. Other than that, we're good, man. We're good to go.
Nice. Is it cold there?
Well, it's starting to drop down like 40s, 30s, something like that. So not too bad, but
You told me you were from Colorado, right? We're out of Colorado, so
yeah.
And
Man.
you said the Springs, it's way colder up there.
Oh yeah, it is. It's different, man. It's kind of like a dry cold here. It's like a humid cold, so the humidity kind of goes through your freaking clothes, man. So it's just a different type of cold, man.
Yeah, I've been to Alabama, and it was never cold there. That's about it over there that I've been to.
Yeah.
So you kind of have like a multitude of things on your podcast, dude, and I like to listen to it because I kind of really enjoy like the Christian part of it that you have with like near-death experiences and people who've seen kind of things on the other side, and then you talk into like cryptid stuff. So I just want to start it out with, did you get down that hole because of like your own personal experiences?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm.
Do you want to tell me about one of those? If you don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah,
Ooh.
well, if kind of first started off kind of paranormal at first, and then basically as I got older, cryptids. So, so I guess I'll just do with the nuts and bolts on the paranormal and then work my way into cryptids.
Hell
so, so in a nutshell, my mom and I moved in with my aunt, and it's kind of funny because the area we're living in is pretty ghetto. It was in this town called Pueblo, Colorado. It's actually about south of Springs. So we lived in like the heart of it. So I think there's like a lot of gangs around there. Kind of like you had like your Mexican mafia guys, you had like your paisas, you had your like 211 crew, all that stuff over there. So
yeah, down south, closer to the Mexican border area, Arizona, things like that.
Oh yeah, man. So other than that, anyways, yeah. So the house we lived in, I thought was haunted for sure. My mom and I used to always get bad vibes out of there, and so did my aunt. So, I think this happened when I was about 7 years old. I was sleeping on the couch. My mom, she worked a double shift, so she was gone, and my aunt worked second shift. She was gone, so they didn't get back to like late, like about like 11 midnight, something like that. So I already fell asleep before they got home, but at the same time, before I fell asleep, I was up playing Nintendo Mario Brothers, and Nintendo won. So other than that, I fell asleep, but I woke up with my console off. But of course, I'm sure you guys remember the TVs how they used to just have static.
Yeah, you had to hook up like the UHF antenna.
If you shut it off, it would be just static.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's basically what it was. Basically, like what I woke up to. So I woke up, looked around. Didn't really hear anything except for my aunt. I heard her in the other room. I was like, okay, cool. And then I go back to sleep, and then I wake up about like 3 o'clock in the morning around there because there was a freaking big old clock we had against the wall. So how it laid out was my couch was against the far wall in the living room, and I'm looking at the stairway going upstairs. And as I'm looking, how your eyes like adjust to the dark, right? Well, there's like a street light outside, and it's shining in barely, almost kind of like an orange. And I start seeing shadow people going up and down the stairs, dude. It's almost like there was a party going on upstairs, right? But the trip was that, of course, I only saw the outlines of these things, and these things looked like they were like Victorian age going on. You had guys in top hats, you had women in like bell dresses, stuff like that, and they were just going up and down stairs, right? Leaving in and out the door. Well, they were just going through the door. And then I'm literally so freaking scared. I'm kind of like sinking in between the couch cushions. And as I'm looking, I see a guy in a top hat. He's coming downstairs. He stops, and I see the figure turn. and I know he's looking at me because I feel it. And everybody who's walking up and down the stairs, all of them stop and they all turn and just look at me. And then I pass out. And then next thing I know, I wake up with my aunt waking me up about like 9 o'clock in the morning, like saying like, "Hey, Heath, breakfast is ready." And I was like, "What the freak was that about?" Anyways, yeah. So that was my first paranormal experience with that.
You,
So
that's pretty crazy. They, if you think about it too, down south there, it's like crazy. You saw like old cowboy stagecoach type people, almost.
Yeah, like I think about like that, like they were settling like probably
Yeah.
Pueblo area first before they kind of like worked their way up
Could
the
you
mountains.
could you see any facial feature or anything on them, or just outline?
no, dude. All I saw was just the silhouettes, man. That was it. Just straight up silhouette. And then after that, learning, being in cryptids and stuff now, learning about Hatman and all that. So I was like, oh, kind of made sense a little bit.
That's awesome. I was gonna ask one of those questions because we talked to Vicky Joy Anderson not too long ago, a couple episodes ago. And
Oh yeah, I was supposed to be on a podcast with her after this. So
that's awesome. She broke down like some craziness, about like sleep paralysis and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if that could be tied to cryptid stuff. And it's weird that you mentioned that right when you saw it, you kind of fell asleep, or passed right back out from it, and it was just kind of over at that point. Do you think like when you fell asleep, they were still there?
oh yeah, 100%. I think they were.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of get eerie feelings from stairs too. I have a set of stairs in my house and they're like behind my couch. And sometimes late at night, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you feel like something's gonna reach out and touch you, or you look at
Yeah.
face looking at the TV, like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah. Never use my Snapchat. I don't want to pick up another face behind me.
Oh, I know that would suck, dude.
Also, do you have some, like I'd mentioned, some near-death experience people that have come on your show lately? Do you think that can bring like a cryptid through?
Oh, okay. Like, let's break this down. Like, are you talking about like someone who has like a near-death experience, and then they're basically, how do I put it? They're basically more sensitive to things. Is that what you're saying?
Either more sensitive to things or okay, yes, that's a good answer. If they just had the near death experience. And then also let's do a second part of that question. We can address the first part. Second part, for some of the people that you've talked to that have actually died and like seen hell or seen, things that Christ has shown them,
Mhm.
as something like latched from that and they're no longer sensitive, but they actually brought it through them.
As far as that, no, because the people that I've talked to with that aspect, it was just Christ or God literally showing them what could happen if they would die as a non-believer, right? And then after that, like, because first of all, because everything under God has to ask his authority on something, right? Basically everything that, Satan, demons, fallen angels, whatever, they have to get God's approval and okay in order to do anything, right?
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't, to my opinion, biblically wise, I would not, think that something could attach itself to, let's say, the guy who interviewed Brian, right? Something could attach itself without God knowing, because God's basically the ultimate dude. He's going to know everything that's going on. He's
Yeah.
not going to be surprised. Like, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah. Do they even have the ability to do that, right? If you no longer recognize your powers coming from God as Satan did,
Yeah.
that's why you were defeated by the archangel, because you didn't, you thought power was within yourself. That's what, so
Yeah.
maybe that would make sense. How could they even get onto you, especially if you're a Christ person?
Yeah. The only way I think anything could attach itself to you is that if you're going out looking for it, right? Like if you're playing with the Ouija board, if you open up portals, if you're going to abandoned houses looking for ghosts, stuff like that. If you don't go with the proper mindset, with the proper aspects, and if you don't go there, because for one, if God called you to go there, basically to do like an exorcism or something on something, if God called you to go do like a deliverance on this house or on this person, if you're going there out of your own will, just to basically just a ghost hunt, I do believe something can attach itself to you, and that can follow you home. That's the
those
only way, in my
curiosity
opinion.
things. Yeah, he might let you get you from just from your own curiosity.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna be real honest. Matt
Like
knows, and everybody knows I've tried.
Mhm. I have too, man.
I think everybody's kind of
I think everybody has, man.
seen those like creepy abandoned places and gone and taken a little peek, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've written like stuff in witchcraft ritual books, you know, and left them there and tried all the things. Dude, never got anything.
Mhm.
But maybe it's because I was in it for the wrong reasons, you know.
Yeah.
It's like that ain't gonna show up just because you want to scare your friends next to you.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that too, it's based all the same thing with just like how what we do like cryptid hunting, right? Like it's basically like a bust probably like 80% of the time. And then like the other 20%, hey man, we were actually freaking getting something out here. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with like ghost hunting. You probably go out half the time you don't really see anything. Don't experience anything.
Um, you throw a lot of prepping in too, like training and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
work on top of that. Do
Mhm.
you implement that in with like cryptid?
Yeah, I do. Because before I did the podcast, this is actually like my bread and butter. We don't just go out just to go out. We actually get contacted and I get via emails and stuff like that by people who are getting harassed by things they can't explain. Or like a couple of buddies of mine, they're actually in law enforcement, like how I was, and they're coming across, animal mutilations that have no idea what the frick's going on. And then the sheriff's deputies are like, hey, man, we're just going to close this case up to an animal attack, and it's still happening. So we're just getting stuff thrown our way like that. And like a lot of the guys I try to get on my team, ex law enforcement, ex military, stuff like that, who could bring something, just to the puzzle, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to prepping and all that stuff. And not only that, just being just physically fit and being prepared, because when you're out there in the wilderness, of course, you guys know, I know one of you guys is a veteran, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you freaking know. So, it's not just getting there, it's also exfilling back, to the LZ, right? You have to get there and you have to get back. So, first of all, you have to make sure that your gear is good. You have to make sure that your training is good. Not only that, you have to know medical if something happens to somebody. Like that saying, two is one is none. Go with your battle buddy. Stuff like that. I just try to implement a lot of the stuff I learned in law enforcement, with these guys, and try to get guys who have like the right mindset and stuff like that. So because if you go there unprepared, something's going to happen. Like that saying goes, luck favors the prepared, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I look at it.
What do you think of like militias?
Oh, love them to death. 1776, baby. That's how we won.
Yep. Matt and I were talking about this. It was probably last week, and I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like you could call it a militia, but you should just have people that you could go, hey, man, when shit hits the fan, we all got to get together, you know?
Oh, exactly. Because we're
But
the
like
only
you
ones that
said,
we
if you're
can
not
lean on.
training,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, some of those militia groups, I mean, they really get out there and train too. Like they put the army almost to shame because they're just out there training a lot. So
Yeah.
I have my this is why I want you on though, because as we said at the beginning, we're the end of days best friends,
Mhm.
and that might involve, we just kind of went over on our last episode, like biblical creatures and things and shit that you might see in the end times, or before that and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, you might have a militia, but the preparedness that comes with spiritual warfare too on top of that.
Exactly.
yeah.
So
Exactly. 100%, man.
and you go through, I follow you, have a daily devotional every day, I like that. And I think that
Appreciate it,
matters too. Do you think that matters to a cryptid?
It does. I think it does 100% because, guys, who the heck was that? This episode I'm going to release. Oh gosh, God forgive me on his name. I totally spaced out his name. But anyways, this guy I interviewed, he was a deliverance pastor, but he's also ran into cryptids as well too. And I know with him, with the majority of cryptids that he ran into was actually spiritual. And this one, not this last one, but this one before that, this operation we went on, we had to deal with the skinwalker. So the skinwalker was basically terrorizing this lady and her family, and we had to go in there. So, we're not wrestling flesh and blood on this one. It's very spiritual. So, of course, we brought our weapons and stuff too to protect us from in case we run into anybody or anything or animals and stuff like that. But as far as that, we had to be prayed up, we had to fast, we had to, talk to this woman about Christ, stuff like that. So, and when it comes to cryptids, to me, there's three different ways that a cryptid can be a cryptid. Talking to one of my, I gotta hook you up with one of my good buddies. His name is Nick Valente. He started the North American Dogman Project, and he started the International Dogman Project. So
Nice.
this guy was in the military, just like you were, man, Matthew. And then he was also in the special forces. And then he went to Blackwater, and then he worked for the CIA for a while. But
Shit.
but his thing was when he was working for the government, he was called a critter hitter. So they send him and a team in to go to national parks. If certain cryptids went rogue, they go in there, hunt them, get them out, and then they'd open up the parks again and let the public go in. That's what he did for years and years and years.
What?
And so now that he's retired, and so now that he's retired, he started up the International Dogman Project, which is global. So he's got like different factions in different zones here in America, Europe, and stuff like that of people who go out and actively cryptid research and cryptid hunt. So, but with that though, but going back to that question, what you said, if it's spiritual, like I I agree with Nick. There's three different ways. Okay, one, I think they're interdimensional, so they can jump in and out of interdimensional. Two, they could be on another realm. They could be a satanic, right? Okay, example, like when it comes to dogmen and stuff like that. And then one of my buddies, he was an ex-Satanist as well, but he said that they used to conjure up things that they would use them as guard dogs or like protectors, right? And then another one is they could be, like I said, interdimensional or alien and whatnot, fallen angel, in my opinion. But if they're here on our playing field, right, when it comes to where we live at, right, if they're here long enough, they have to abide by the rules that God set. They have to eat, they have to sleep, they have to shit, they have to drink water, right? So if you got certain ones that are here for a long period of time, that's where you get like your flesh and blood ones too. And also to the government, according to what Nick Valente said, they have like the super secret soldier program, he said. So they take volunteers, men and women, and they inject them with certain animal species types and just to see what happens. And then they let them loose in parks just to see what happens. And if they get rogue, then they have to go in there and get them out.
What?
Yeah.
What is that? What
that's
is
my
that
answer.
book? What is that? The Island of Dr. Moreau or something like
Oh,
that?
yeah. Good movie.
What? Yeah, well, that's what they tell us, right? The truth in that. It's probably because they're doing that shit up in national parks. Which it's crazy that I would like to talk to that guy too, because like going through cryptid stuff, I know that it's widely known. I don't know if they like joked around this while you were there in Iraq, Matt, but the military had like problems running into dogmen, they claimed out there.
Yeah,
and they were fighting the dogmen in Afghanistan.
That and like the giant at Kandahar and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I always want to know too, because like why are they with the military stuff? It always seems to be like controlled. Were these cryptids here and then we rounded one up and now we're messing with its DNA and trying to figure it out? Or did we create the whole dang thing, do you think? Have you ever talked to anybody like that?
Yeah, I have. In my opinion, we can go back to Genesis 6, right? When the fallen angels came down and they had relationships with women. And then if you read the book of Enoch, it also says too, that Azazel taught man and women how to make weapons and stuff like that. But he also said that they sinned against the plants, they sinned against the animals, right? So to me, it's just a different type of bumper sticker we're throwing on it. Aliens, in my opinion, they capture animals and they do God knows what to them. But yeah, I think cryptids were here at the same time, like during like creation, but I think they were a different type of form. But I think Satan got a hold of them and the fallen angels got a hold of them. They totally messed up the way God created them. So now you got certain ones that are basically rogue right now. But you also have stories and encounters too where cryptids save people from other cryptids as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Go into that a little bit. Like okay, I guess you mean like how Bigfoot is said to protect against dogman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But also too, this recent email I got, this person doesn't want to be interviewed, but basically she sent me an email stating that when her and her dog were walking on her land, that she was protected by 3 female dogmen from a male dogman. So
that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I always wondered too, like it's cool that you mentioned that they save others from other cryptids, or they can kind of get like mixed within each other, because I've always wanted to know, like the Hat Man or, Bigfoot or something like that. Did they start as a human or did they start as something good, throughout time, or like Slender Man, was
Yeah,
he regular at one point, 10,000
yeah,
years ago, or,
could be, man.
you
So if you
know?
think about the whole skinwalker thing, right? Basically, in a nutshell, in the Navajo and Indian lore, like what are skinwalkers? They're basically medicine men, right? So medicine men let a demonic entity fully take over and they can fully transform. Well, I think sometimes they actually get stuck like that. And if you look at lycanthropy, that's basically people who change into wolves, but then they can't change back.
Oh,
Or if
wow.
you look at the whole biblical aspect, I think it was in Psalms or Ezekiel. Don't quote me on that, but it's King Nebuchadnezzar, to where God told him, yeah. It was the king who was over Daniel and Meshach, Reshach, and Abednego, right? So basically, they told him that, okay, look, since you're disobeying God, God is basically going to put you out in the wilderness for like 7 years. You're going to grow long hair. You're going to grow claws just like eagle's talons and stuff like that. Like who knows, man?
Yes, that's right. They were warning
Yeah,
Nebuchadnezzar that he would go crazy or whatnot.
yeah,
That's Yeah, that's a really good point. Maybe that is like a form of these cryptids for one point, and they, the skinwalkers that shapeshift
yeah.
all the time. They say,
Hmm.
which I mean, that does go back to super far lore of like jinns, way back when.
Yeah.
That's literally what they are. I feel like. Do you? Why we're on like the subject of culture and regions and places that are kind of,
That's crazy when cultures do that too, like have like the same thing, but so
Yeah, it's
it's
just a
like
different name, but yeah.
yeah.
yeah, these things, do you think they're all over? Or are they roaming? See, they're so interesting to me because it's like, is there one Hat Man? Is there one Jinn? And it was here in 4000 BC, in like the Middle Eastern Asia, and now it's, moved its way over here. Or is there a plethora of them all over that can come in and out interdimensional, like you say?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like to think there's a whole plethora of them, just like when it comes to Sasquatch, right? You got your Yeti, you got your Sasquatch, you got your Yowie, you got your, yeah, all these different types, when it comes to cultures and, stuff like that all over the world, you've got them all over the world. And it's the same thing with Dogman. And I'd like to think the same thing too about the Hat Man and the whole aspect of that, the spiritual realm, dude, like we only know maybe just a little tiny fraction of this, man, you know?
Yeah, they say like that's why they use different colored glass in the military, Matt. Because like
Mm,
that first color, they could see other cryptids and shit, and it was like we're screwing with people.
yeah, you had like gunners on the helicopter shooting at nothing.
What do you know, Matt? You were a gunner. Did you ever shoot at nothing?
I mean, I shot at a lot of nothing, dude. That's part of your job in the military. They don't tell you about spendexes. That's just to go out and spend money so that way you get it in your budget next year.
Get a bigger budget, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, did anybody ever tell you about cryptids, Matt, when you were over in Iraq? Because the
No.
Dogman incident and all that stuff was like in early 2003, so you were there a couple of years later, but pretty close to that. And it's
And see, we didn't really hear about any of that stuff. We were worried about like IEDs and stuff that would like
well,
kill
yeah, the
us, not
real
just
the
haunt
real
us.
things. Obviously the real things, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. I
Like I
didn't I
guess,
didn't get any giants throwing rocks at me or nothing fun like that.
yeah, the
Did you
apes.
guys, Matt, did you guys basically on like your training and your shooting regimen and all that, did you guys get trained to shoot high?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And see, like you always do that. Like, I mean, you'll be inside and you'll have a dude hide just like, I mean,
Yeah.
randomly, right? Like,
Why? Like they want you to shoot up at a helicopter?
you never know what's up high, right? But kind of makes it weird, but yeah, you never know what's like gonna pop down, I guess, you know?
So speaking of what's up high here, I am going to share the screen and we're going to watch this about the jellyfish UFO. Okay. This thing is wild. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm. I was talking about. It's
All
going
right,
through the
cool.
base. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I want to look at it and be like, let's see here if I share this right.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Can you hear that?
Um,
Let's see it.
Dude, the crazy part is like it changes.
that is nuts.
So that's all I wanted to just show. It's kind of the same thing over and over, you know?
And that is
Mhm.
like a military base too, huh?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
over Iraq. Um, so I wanted, right, the way it was translucent like that. They could catch it on, and when I was reading more about it, they said it
Sunburns.
even like infrared changed heat scan, right, on it. And then I got to thinking, dude, about like flying cryptids, okay, or like cryptids of the sky or space things, you know? And people call that UFOs. And then I started thinking of people who like make fun of it and go like, oh, a spaghetti monster. And then you see that, you know, you see the
Mhm.
jellyfish UFO, and I'm like, do you think that's a cryptid, or do you think that's military tech?
I think that's. I think that could be fallen angel tech.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the route I'm going. Because Kryptons are one thing, and then you got fallen angels and UFOs and aliens on another. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I was going to ask that. You think there's a separation between cryptid, UFO, and like hauntings?
It's oh gosh, it's in a big spaghetti bowl, bro. Because um, I'm not gonna say it because it's I don't know. Just the more and more I'm learning, I'm trying to go about everything biblically, but I'm like, dude, like the Bible doesn't explain everything. So, but when it comes to aliens and stuff, I do believe that they are fallen angels for sure and demonic. And then when it comes to cryptids, I do believe some of them could be fallen angels or demonic, and some of them are just just your usual cryptid, man, just animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Something lost.
yeah.
That's what they think like sometimes on the dogmans or things like that. They're just lost, wandering around.
Mm, mm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why
Who
they got to be
knows?
so aggressive.
I know, right?
Do you think like if a modern combat scenario like this jellyfish over a base that we would have like the ability to fight something like that?
Oh, it depends on what you're using because I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. I forgot who the heck he had on, and then the Sean Ryan show. Oh my gosh, he was like the number one UFO expert that they've used him in the White House from George Bush Sr. all the way up till now, till recently, and he just retired. I
Oh
totally
wow.
forgot his name, but he said that I'll find the podcast on Sean Ryan show and send it to you. But he was talking about how when it comes to UFOs, he's like, and something like that, he's like, they don't use, they don't shoot at them with how do you say it with linear weapons, right? With just like your straight up 50 cal, your bullet and stuff like that. They use how do you put it, kind of like EMP area weapon, right? So they usually send out pulses, and when they send out pulses, if they're coming out of aircraft that they don't know what it is, they send out an EMP pulse, and it knocks them out of loop for like a good 5 seconds. Then during that 5 seconds, they can shoot at them, right? And hopefully they
Huh.
can get it down.
Okay.
But as far as that, you said if you're just straight up just going at it, running and gunning, he's like, there's no way. They're just
So
too fast.
you think there was like truth to Independence Day where they quote unquote had to give it a cold?
Could be, man. Who knows?
That's pretty wild.
You know.
What is your favorite cryptid?
Oof. I'm gonna go with old Big Daddy O Diesel Bigfoot, man. He's OG, so I'll
Yeah.
go with him, man.
What do you think about the original footage? The
Oh,
famous one.
as far as that, the Pat Gimlin film,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I actually talked to Gimlin a while back, and then this other guy I'll introduce you to. His name is Eddie. He's a really really good friend of those guys. He told me straight up it's straight up legit, and I overheard Pat saying it was too, but I wasn't there. I don't know. I'd have to physically be there, to see it, but I don't know, man. I'm
I
just,
believe it.
like 100%. I'd like to believe it, but if it's faked, it has to be really, really damn good,
Mhm.
really damn good, especially back then.
Oh yeah.
To do something like that, because they didn't have the technology, that we have now.
And
So
it's in rural areas, and people are always like, well, you would see them all the time, and it's like, dude,
no, you got to go out, man.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got to go way out.
You can get an elk tag out here in Colorado, and there's elk
Mhm.
everywhere. People come here
Yeah.
to hunt all the time, as you know, right? You
Yep.
might not see one for 10 years.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, I could imagine if there's only 1,000 Bigfoot, you're not going to see one quite frequently, especially if they're interdimensional.
Yeah.
And I heard an interview one time. I had told you about him, Scott Pace.
Yeah.
And he's down in Louisiana, and he claims like all his Bigfoot and dogmen live together on his property there, and they're interdimensional. And he shares all these files throughout his stuff, and there's like warped pictures. It looks like
Mhm.
the landscape is curved, and like an energy field is actually around it. And then I start to think, I'm like, well, maybe that's why you see footprints of this Bigfoot, and then you don't see them
Just
start.
disappear. Yeah.
Because they're hopping, and that's why they're always sideways like that. They're like, oh, I'm out.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know though. But if they also, if you're interdimensionally jumping, what other powers does a Bigfoot have?
Yeah, you're right. We don't know
And
that.
and then,
Didn't bother to make any clothes though.
well, he's hairy, bro. He's hairy.
Speaking of jumping, you know who Jessica Jones is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll try to hook her up with you. Her name is Jessica Jones. They call her like the Cryptid Huntress. But anyways, yeah, she just recently just got on my team now. But she was in Alabama in this place called the Meadow, right? And two of her team members died because they accidentally went in a portal, right? So, man, they actually got this on camera and stuff too. And then,
What?
yes, 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 yes. So they got this on camera, right? Well, Tony Merkel, I just got done talking to him today. They're out there doing they just got done shooting a documentary about it, and she was there. So they're basically going over, replaying the whole thing. But they actually got camera footage of their two team members in infrared and in flare going. All of a sudden, they're gone for like a good, I think it says like a good 90 seconds, and then they came back,
What?
right? So according to them, those two guys stated that they were walking towards the tree line. All of a sudden, as they're walking through this meadow, they said that the insects stopped, the colors were more bright, and the grass was laid down. It's like something just kind of just pushed it down, right? The whole thing was laid down, and they're like, this isn't right. So as they backed up, the insects started to come alive again. The grass was pushed up, and they're like, what the freak was going on? And then on their comms, they're hearing their teammates, where the freak you guys at? You guys okay? You guys okay? They're like, yeah, we're good. Why? What's up going on? They're like, you guys been gone for like 90 seconds. They're like, no, we weren't. We were gone for like maybe 5 seconds. What are you talking about? So they're like, okay, well, we got something to show you. And they showed them on their video footage of them disappearing, right? And then coming back like 90 seconds later. Well, to them, they were only gone at least for like a good 5 to 10 seconds, and they came back. And then they died. One died a year later from radiation poisoning, and the other one died, I think it was like 2 years later, 2.5 years later after that from the same thing.
That's awesome. I mean, not awesome that they died, but
I know. I hear what
That's
they're
awesome.
saying. No, I was joking. But yeah, as far as that, like going back to Bigfoots and cryptids and stuff, I know that their chemical makeup is totally different than ours, right? Because according to Jessica, just what I'm saying, what she told me was that she worked for the government, and she had a friend that did autopsies on cryptids. According to Nick Valente, they would kill them, they hand them over, she would do the autopsies on them. Well, according to this lady, she said that their chemical makeup, they have 6 inches of hide, they have 6 inches of bone, right? That's why it's really hard to kill them. You need something that packs a punch, right? Like a 50 cal,
yeah.
Something like that. And other than that, yeah, like their organs are in like different places. Like the Bigfoot, she said, basically said that their heart is underneath like their right armpit and stuff like that. So that's the reason why these things can jump in and out, because their whole chemical makeup's different. It's like they have like a layer upon layer upon layer of protection,
Yeah, they're
and we don't.
designed.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't. So of course we're gonna get hit with all that crap.
That's crazy. I believe it though. We read what was something we read about? It was like what was it? The UK's Roswell, and these
Mm.
people touched. One guy touched like the energy around the stuff,
Hmm.
and dude, he was starting to get like visions of like hieroglyphs and whatnot that he kept and wrote down his whole life, and then came
Hmm.
out later and was like, "Yo, I kept receiving this binary code, and it was telling me all these futuristic like prophecies and whatnot." And I don't know
Okay.
what any of them were, but he kind of claimed the same thing, and then he ended up dying, from a sickness because you touch some glowing purple,
Yeah, your body ain't made for it, man.
some out of this world stuff. That's crazy. I've always thought that was interesting, and portals do exist. I shot a basketball one time, like in my apartment, shooting on a little mini hoop, and the ball just gone. And it took us forever, and we opened it, and it was like in the back of the house in a closed laundry room door.
That's a
And
trip, dude.
I was
Yeah.
like, how does that happen in mid game? But
Yeah.
little things like that can go through it. Blew me away. What, Matt, in you said you've done some things in Iraq, like stumbled upon places you weren't supposed to be. Have you ever stumbled upon like information or training that's weird?
Nothing really much over there, really, dude.
You're like nothing I can talk about.
No, no. Like I didn't find anything cool. Yeah.
You didn't even notice like why are these guys training with weird weapons? Because
Because they
it's
had
got to
this.
be out there. Where do you hide that?
I don't know. Where would you hide that?
I don't know. Interdimensional, I guess, if everything else is.
And then, like, what if you're gonna be like an alien? Why are you hanging out in a war zone, though? You know,
What's your
go to a
opinion on that?
nicer place.
I don't know. Could be collecting
Or if
souls,
if
man.
that
Who knows?
was like an angel one, I mean, I guess it makes sense that it was over our base then, right? I mean, maybe, maybe there is something actually out there protecting him.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point too. If they're fallen angels, like you said, people are dying there. You're collecting souls.
Mm.
That's a
Yeah,
dark
that
way to
mortar
think
that
about it.
didn't hit you, you just didn't see that thing up there that just like, you know,
Yeah.
smacked it out of the way.
I hope to never be around a mortar in my life. I live in the good old US of A. Do you think there'll be cryptids that can sign the end of the world? I know people think like the Mothman is a harbinger of doom, because
Mhm.
he's seen before accidents, I guess. But do you think that's true? You think they carry like signs?
Yeah, I do. Also, too, in Revelation, it talks about, okay, like of course, you have the scrolls, you have the trumpets, and you got the bowls, right? But I know it talks about, how the third of mankind's going to be killed, basically by like fire, and then you got a third of mankind getting killed by earthquakes and whatnot. There's also a verse that says a third of mankind's going to get eaten up by the beasts of the field. So it doesn't state what, but yeah, you never know, man. What it could be? It could be cryptids. Could be old fashioned grizzly bears, mountain lions.
Right.
Because when this stuff happens, people are going to be, taking off, to the mountains and hiding out.
Yeah, they think.
Or these, yeah, or these, or like when these disasters happen, all animals come down off the mountain. Who
Hmm.
knows, man?
I I do think that. I think it'll be like a behemoth, or how they talk about they eat like they wait for the pregnant woman to give birth.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a scary one too, because they say they're like large enough to their head is in the heavens still, while their feet are on earth.
Hmm.
And that'll be a crazy time.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think the rapture will take you here or before? A little
Me,
soft off subject here. Yeah.
I am. I don't buy that bull crap. That's just me. I don't. I do believe we are going to be here until the end, until when Jesus comes back, coming on
No,
that
no
white
giant
horse.
vacuum theory.
No, dude, because if that's the case, that would only prove Christ wrong. Because technically, he only comes back twice, right? Not three times. So when he came back, when he died for us, and he's coming back again, basically to set things straight. So, um, to me, that's the whole rapture thing came. That's actually like a Western Christianity thing. You go to other countries and stuff like that. A lot of them really don't believe in that. But as
Yeah.
far as that, yeah, I do believe that we're going to be here until the end. And not only that, who are we to escape, on what's supposed to be coming, Not only that, if we're all zapped out of here, right? Who in the heck are going to be teaching people about Christ? How's this whole revival going to happen without wisdom, without people here telling people what to
Yep.
do and
Who's going to
learning and
witness?
and stuff like that? Exactly. Yeah, that's just my opinion. But to me, that's basically just like a minor. To me, it's major on the majors, minor on the minors. And if the rapture happens, awesome, we're good to go. If it doesn't, I hope everybody's faith is ready to be put to the test.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on the sense where I don't think God gave his only son to go through what he went through so
Just to
that
zap us out. Yeah,
we didn't have to suffer a little bit. That ain't,
exactly.
you ain't get off that easy, especially with half, all the world still being like, well, denying and all that. And he's like, if your only child, you gave your only child up to die and people were not listening to you, you'd be like, you know what? F you too, dude.
I agree. Yeah.
That's kind of how I'd feel. I'd be like, you know what? There ain't no rapture here.
Yeah.
There is going to be some tribulation, though, no?
For real.
Yes. Yes. Has to be. It has to be. You got to test the faith, you got to test the spirit.
Yeah. Are you ride or die with Christ or not?
There's an easy way out if you're not, but it ain't
It's
gonna be
7
fun.
years of tribulation.
Every day. What did they say?
Every day.
The chimeras from the abyss, right? Those little cryptids with the face of a man but the hair of a woman.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out what that is, and we were trying to kind of put it like to today's terms, and we were wondering if it could almost be a take on like the new age drones in war.
That's exactly. You know what?
You wear like VRs and you don't see anything in the face. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's funny because my pastor was actually talking about that. He's like, because at the time when John was writing this, like he can only put it to what he knows. You know what I'm saying? And he was just only describing it to what he knows. But yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like, for all we know, it could be drones, man. Like who knows?
And then you see like, it talks about men will want to die from these things attacking them, but they can't. And then you go and you look now at like footage of Russia and Ukraine in war, and these drones are basically stalking these dudes while they're trying to run or they're hiding or they're just running circles around a tank, trying to get it to fall. And it's like, that almost looks like trying to, you're trying to get away and die, but you can't, and this thing's just stalking and scaring you.
Right, tormenting you until you die. That's a horrible way to go, dude.
I know. I don't think America would even, these guys would dig trenches and try to drone fight and we'd just light the whole trench up,
Yeah.
Boom. That's cool. At least we're on that side.
Right.
Let's spin off that a little bit. Do you think Trump has the ability to end that?
In God's hands, hopefully. Like to me, if it's God's will, it's God's will. If not, it's it's not in God's will. So I'm hopefully God uses him as a catalyst to do a lot of things. But it's kind of up in the air. Who knows? We could have gotten him in, and then all of a sudden he could just do a 180 and like, what the freak? Like who knows? But I'm just praying, and hoping, that God uses him in a big way, so like he's supposed to. But it's up in the air, man. I'm just kind of taking it like till January 6th. We'll see what happens. So
we've had a guest on a couple times, Brandon Kroll.
Oh, BK, BK Lounge. Yeah, I know Brandon.
He's awesome. We love him.
Yeah.
He brings great information, and some of the
my
time
homie. He is anti-Trump for sure, bro.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love the dude to death, man, but like him and I don't go there.
Yeah. We like to promote that because we'll promote whatever, unless like Nazis.
I like
or
listening
whatever.
to everything, I'll listen to a Nazi's point of view. I don't care. I'll turn around and be like,
speaking of that, hold on. Speaking of that, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like, okay, if you listen to Hitler's speech in English, dude,
Oh, dude.
Dude,
That is
it's like,
crazy.
I get it now.
Dude, huh? You
About
like
Bro,
news are like
just
now,
the
right?
passion in it,
Well, not
man.
only that, it's talking about how like people are coming in here and taking apart our country, and it's
Dude, the
basically
banks and
yes,
yeah,
it's basically like the
it's
United.
almost like if you were to close your eyes and not know it was Hitler and
Yes, you're
think
like, dude, I
America.
I agree with this dude, and then you open like, what the freak?
You're like, wait, no, we're talking about Jews. No, I don't. I don't.
oh, it's terrible. It's
Yeah, dude,
terrible.
like, hey, if you ever get a chance to do that, man, listen to it, bro. Like, oh, okay, I get it. I
I'm
get it
gonna do
now.
it. I'm gonna do it. And I don't like any politician. I prefer, everybody was freaking out, and Matt's already heard me say this when Trump got into charge, and then, oh well, Kamala didn't win. There's this problem, there's that problem. But Psalm 146 tells you not to put any trust in any man, or
Exactly.
anything like that. So I don't put my cards in any of these politicians. I know they're lining their pockets, and
Mhm.
some of the stuff that Brandon Kroll does bring up with Trump, you're like, well, why does he have a Kabbalah rabbi?
Right?
If he is Christian, why
I
does
agree. You know what? Brandon does bring some good. He does his homework, bro. He does, and I'm like,
He does. You can't even argue
I
with him.
hate you, but dang, that is
yeah,
good, man.
you're like, dang it.
That is so good. Yeah, I'll give it to him, man. He does his homework, bro. He does his homework for sure.
I so you said you like Bigfoot, and they've recently had the Bigfoot sighting in Colorado Springs. What was that, last year? I think. Did you
Yeah,
see that one?
yeah, I saw that one.
Homeboy was just like lounging in the field,
Uh-huh.
and then he got up.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, maybe I
Oh,
should get out
crap.
of here."
Maybe I should get out of here. Yeah, yeah.
You got to do the.
I
How about those chicks who were hiking and caught a they caught a photo of it looks like a freaking mountain giant climbing, dude.
no way.
I'll find that and send it to you. It almost looks kind of
Nice.
like almost kind of looks almost like a giant rake crawling on the mountaintops.
So that's funny because I was going to get into it. Colorado has a slide rock bolter. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
And it's like cryptid lore here. And like in the mountains, you can see where avalanches have gone,
Yeah.
or yeah, it's all cleared out. And so there's like cryptid lore that, dude, it's like almost like a giant whale with like a hook, and it keeps
Okay.
itself hooked into the land, and it looks like the geographic landscape. And then when it gets enough like followers or animals or whatever down here, we're a village, it undoes that hook and slides down and just uses its mouth to clear out that whole like, avalanche area again.
Oh,
So
jeez.
that's crazy. But yeah, I was looking stuff up, and that was like a big one, before the show. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit. And then you bring up,
Yeah.
the people saying, or the rock people with like hooks. I'm like, oh man, maybe that's the slide rock bolter.
Who knows, man? If you want to look up, oh gosh, like giant, like cryptids, right? They're talking about they might have found a leviathan.
Really?
Yeah, right at the edge in between South America and Antarctica. It shows a giant reptilian, like crocodile head. It
Huh.
looks like a landmass, but its snout is breathing out hot air, and that's where like certain volcanoes are at. But the form of it is thawing out, and it's looking like a giant freaking like reptilian alligator, man.
Yeah, God.
Look it up. Yeah, just type in like what the heck did I say? Leviathan alligator defrosting at the edge in between South America and Antarctica, and it'll pop up. They have all kinds of videos on it.
Antarctica's trippy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think
think that's where they keep a lot of that stuff.
I
Oh,
think so too.
100%, man. 100%. I think that's where
I'm
a lot of the Germans went to as well.
Here's my thing, like if we go around like capturing and killing these things, like how do we know we're not like, say like it is Bigfoot who's protecting us? Like if we capture Bigfoot, like are we letting way more things in? You know?
Mm.
Like these are the things like I question if we play with.
that's what Scott Pace was talking about. He's like, dude, we let the Bigfoot on our land because they protect us from the dogmen who try to like get angry and throw stuff at our house, and things. But he would talk, dude, I don't know. This guy would talk about like him and his wife would babysit baby Bigfoots. And like he could communicate with the adult ones. Yeah, they loved him, and they would like take care of him and bring him, like dead deer and shit.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the whole
Like a giant cat.
If you-
Just
I
keep
know,
finding dead deer at your doorstep.
What the freak, man? But if you look at the whole Native American lore, like certain tribes could communicate, and they do know the Indian language, hand signals and stuff like that. So they did live together, but I know some tribes did, some tribes hunted them. But as far as that, like, dude, like you never know, man. Like you never know. But dang, babysitting baby Bigfoots, that's a trip.
They said they were like just like a kid too. Like you would think, just wrecking the house and eating all the snacks and
They're interdimensional, so you gotta like really figure out where he went.
yeah,
Great.
dude.
It's almost like the movie the freaking Incredibles 2 where the baby was zapping in and out of dimensions. Like, where's he at? Hold on, man. Just hold the cookie up. He'll come through.
Yeah, he'll grab it. He'll grab it. You live Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Are you close to any like the Ozarks or Appalachians? Is that in
Oh,
Tennessee?
yeah, it is.
You
Do
guys
you-
got all sorts of cavage down there too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's what I was
bro.
getting ready to
Oh,
ask.
man.
That's one thing we love to do is cave and spelunky, man. Yeah, we love to do that.
Do you? All right. So are you scared of any of them?
I would, of course, I'm gonna say, yeah, I am, but like I said, I know my authority I have on Christ, have in Christ, and as far as that, I don't try to go look for a fight. I only go to where like we're called out, right? And
Okay.
as far as that, when it comes to anything like that, it just depends on. I'm not afraid of just one. I'm afraid of multiple. Like if you run into a dog man, right? I'm not worried about the one I can see. I'm worried about the ones I can't see.
Okay.
Because they're ambush creatures, and so are Bigfoot too. And yeah.
What's Can you tell me about the craziest experience you've had with a cryptid? Like obviously paranormal growing up, like you were saying, dude, that I feel like that would be more terrifying because you're a child, the unknown.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I got two of them that come to mind.
all right.
So this was in 2019, back when the old COVID hit. So a lot of me and the guys would go out camping and shooting, running, and gunning and stuff like that. But my buddy Paul, he was on this forum on Facebook where people would write about like their encounters and like Reddit and stuff like that. This lady who lived in Mountain City, Tennessee. It's at the northern tip of Tennessee, where it meets the Carolinas and all that. Like a lot of her animals were going missing, and a lot of homeless were getting ripped apart and murdered. Right. So she wrote on this forum like, "Hey, if you guys have any idea what's going on, let me know." So my buddy Paul wrote her back, "Hey, we're actually cryptid investigators, so would you mind us going out there? Stuff like that." Um, so she's like, "Yeah, come on out." So I I learned the hard way on this one. Like I said, going back to my buddy Nick Valente, he's kind of like my big brother, I should say, when it comes to the cryptid world, because he did it professionally, right? So any
Okay.
questions I got, I'm like, hey man, here's what I'm dealing with. He's like, hold on, let me look. So he goes on his computer and he looks up. He's like, yeah, man, we got a lot of sightings here. We got this here. Or if not, if I got a problem with somebody, like, hey, this dude told me this story. Is this dude legit? He's like, hold on, bro. He's like, hold on, man. Just give me his full name. And he goes in his laptop because he still has clearances, right? And he looks it up. He's like, okay, dude, this guy's straight up bogus, or this guy's not lying. This guy's got a pretty good sheet on what he sees and whatnot. But anyways, so I asked him about this lady, and he's like, yeah, man, we have as far as that, I've been getting a lot of emails and calls about that area. And we actually interviewed some people. So yeah, there is a lot of people going missing and stuff like that. And according to the police reports, yeah. So, just be careful. I'm like, yeah, totally. Well, I usually try to go with a team of 7 all the time, all the time, at least 5. Because Matt, you know as well as I know, if something happens, you want to have as many guys as possible. You know what I mean?
Right.
To do first aid, to basically to set up like
Yeah, like one dude out of the fight is 2,
exactly,
so.
exactly. But my dumbass only took 3 guys this time. So because it was like scheduling conflicts, and not only that, we wanted to get up there as quick as possible. But I think I was kind of pushing our luck at that. But anyway, so we went up there with just 3 guys: me, my friend Taylor, and then my buddy Paul. Well, my buddy Taylor, he was a skeptic at the time, so he's like, you know what, dude, I'll go hang out with you. I'll basically go be up there. Just be just like another gun. I'm like, all right, cool. So we went up there, we talked to the lady, we went up to her property, we checked it out, and then she sent us on like this logging road that went a good like 9 miles deep in the Appalachian Mountains. So we went there as far as the truck could go. Then we got out and then we basically rucked in. And then we set up camp. It's pushing like 6 o'clock at night, chilling out. And then, so I basically set up like a perimeter alarm, like a 50-foot perimeter alarm around our camp. And so it's pushing like 9 o'clock. It's already dark. So Taylor starts up the fire. We freaking get grub going. We're eating. And my buddy Paul, he actually, after we eat, it's pushing about 10:30, 11. He's like, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, all right, bro. So he goes to bed. And then me and Taylor are just sitting, just chit-chatting at the fire, whatnot. And then about a good 200 yards off, I hear rocks rolling down the side of this of this mountain, right? And then I'm hearing branches break off in the distance. And I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm like, could be deer, whatever. And then we hear something jump across like this dirt path and stop. And at the same time, I start hearing behind me something running, not on four legs, but bipedal, running, and just stops. So then we turn, guns up, and we throw our nods on, and we're just looking. So my buddy Taylor gets water and he douses out the fire, and we're just looking, waiting and looking. Next thing we know, on the north side behind me, the freaking trip alarm goes off. What sucks about this trip alarm, though, is you have to go physically reset it. It doesn't shut off. So we go straight frontal assault towards this freaking tripwire. We don't see anything. We just see just a bunch of branches and stuff broken in, almost like a pathway. I'm like, what the freak is that? So I set that up. I set up the alarm again. As we're going back, we're hearing things on the left, things on the right, kind of just like running through the leaves, just running. And then like trees shaking. And then the south alarm goes off. And then my buddy Paul wakes up. He's like, bro, we got contact. I'm like, yeah. He's like, are we good? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. He's like, all right, well, I'm here if you need me. And then his punk ass goes back to bed. So I'm like, okay, you're definitely not a lot of help, man. So we go set up like the freaking other alarm. And then we're just hearing these things. To me, they're just testing out like our perimeter, checking us out, whatnot. And then we're just hearing them just pacing back and forth, right? Well, everything kind of dies down. And then my buddy Taylor wakes up. He goes to sleep. I get in a prone position in my tent. I got my nods on, my rifle out, and I'm just listening. And I'm hearing them move every now and then. And then I kind of doze off. Well, I wake up to my buddy Taylor throwing up. Like, and then that kind of freaked me out because I'm thinking of like zombie, So I jump out of the tent. I'm like, dude, you good? And next thing I know, I hear all the alarms go off. And then I hear something behind him. He turns as he's like trying to dry heave. And I just start sending rounds at this tree that's right next to this thing shaking. Boom, boom. I drop like 5 rounds at this tree. Boom, 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 boom. And then we hear these things take off. And I grab Taylor. I'm like, are you good? You okay? He's like, dude, I don't know what the frick happened. He's like, I'm sitting in my tent. Next thing I know, I heard this. Oof. And I feel like this, almost like this invisible wave hit me. And then I get dizzy. I feel like I'm going to throw up. So I stumble out of the tent and I start throwing up.
What?
Well, I learned about infrasound. You ever heard of that?
Probably, maybe not.
Okay. So if you get a chance, look it up. So infrasound, what it is that predators, lions, bears, all that, whenever they release it's called infrasound. So they release a frequency out when they roar, when they grunt. Gorillas do that too, like a deep grunt. It knocks the frequency off of the thing that they're trying to attack just for a split second. That way they can go in for the attack. It kind of knocks up like their OODA loop. It gets them dizzy. It just depends on whoever it is. It makes you throw up and then they attack. So what I was thinking was that, okay, so maybe they're going after Taylor because he's the biggest threat. My buddy Taylor's like 6'2", 300 and some pounds. He's a big lumberjack guy. So, but he's like, after that, he said he heard a grunt outside his tent. And then he got up, started throwing up because he was dizzy. And next thing you know, all the alarms went off on all sides. So then we had to go physically go reset those again. And then that was it, man. The next thing we know,
It's
2 hours later, the freaking sun went up.
that's terrifying that it was like almost messing with you.
Yeah, man, that was scary. So ever since that, I will never ever go without a team of five at least.
What do
Of
you
five
think it
people.
what do you think it was?
Oh, I would like to say Bigfoot, but I physically didn't see anything. I just heard it. I just heard it. So, but I don't know if
They're
it's those dudes are mountain man running around out there. Hey, kudos to them, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Deliverance country, right?
Yeah.
That's there are like reports of miners with Bigfoot with those exact stories, dude, where like they've fired a round off, and they're like, "Oh, I think I got it." And then the next thing I know, or they know, there's 15 Bigfoots throwing rocks at them from all directions, and alarms going off, and they're running for their lives.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You said you
Yeah.
had two of them?
Well, yeah, I think with all the alarms tripping, I think we had four of them. But the reason why I think they didn't do anything was because I wasn't shooting directly at it. Because I know exactly what you do. If you hit one, it's game on, dude. You better freaking kill every one of them
Oh yeah.
coming for
Right.
blood, right? So I knew it was like, dude, we don't have enough firepower for this. We don't have my buddy T only brought 2 magazines. I'm loaded with 8. My buddy Paul is half asleep, like with his pistol out, like, well, he up. So I was like, I'm just gonna shoot at this trunk right here, just to kind of scare him off, But I was scared, bro. I was really freaking scared, man. I was really
That's
scared.
that's terrifying. Especially, it almost seems like when you fell asleep, too, it's like they knew that their frequency would make him sick enough to draw him out almost by himself, even, like they were smart enough to separate you guys almost.
Yeah.
Or, attack the alarm in the front and then the alarm in the back. And you're like, what the fuck?
Right. Wait until you guys were all in your separate little areas, not when you guys were together for sure. It's crazy.
And at the same time, when we were setting up the perimeter alarms, I was actually worried about Paul, man. Like, so
Right, because you're leaving him behind.
yeah, next thing I know, go back like the tent's gone.
Yeah, right. They just pick the tent up.
Yeah.
Do you think they could take if these cryptids are interdimensional, do you think they could take us with it? How the person you interviewed said people went through the portal. Do you think they could take us through those?
Oh, 100%, man, because you always get missing people, right? Missing 411, and you can never find them. Either they get eaten or I think they get taken through a portal and you never see them again.
Absolutely. The Ozarks are crazy too, in the Appalachians out there.
Yeah.
That's some wild area,
Yeah.
Undiscovered wild area too. It's thicky thick. Colorado kind of has, they have that history of like the arsenal, the nuclear waste.
Yeah.
And so I've always wondered, if there's shit growing weirdly out somewhere.
Oh, could be, man. You know how the Simpsons always predict stuff.
Yeah, right. Right. We're gonna get a 3-eyed fish.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Tommy knockers? You think those are real?
Could be, man. I'm not gonna hold anything down, bro.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
I believe in little mischievous fucking elves.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like little people. Oh yeah. And I know in Tennessee they're known for little people. There's a
Are
lot
they?
of little there's like a lot of little people lore out here. So they said to be careful of the big ones and really be careful of the small ones because they're mischievous and they'll freaking lead you away from everybody.
That's scary. Tie you down.
Yeah, well, it's a trip because if you look at Europe, right, their lore with little people, if you compare it to alien abduction, it lines up perfectly.
Really?
Lines up perfectly, yes. Because the lore with the little people in Europe is that people would be in the woods walking. Next thing you know, they would see a couple little people, and then they would have missing time, and they would see a light, and they have missing time, and they would wake up a day to 2 days later in a different part of the forest, and not know what happened.
Wow.
Um,
That's always been very fascinating to me, like the disappearance of time. When somebody, like you said, or they're like, no, we weren't gone. And you're like, no, dude, you guys were gone for like a minute and a half. And they're like, what? It's always been very like, I don't know. I guess I want yo, I want to travel to a portal and see, what's in there.
Yeah,
But I mean, the way you describe it though, or say things like that, it's like, nah, I don't want to die either.
exactly. It also kind of reminds me of that one movie with Matthew McConaughey, Interstellar, when they were on that planet, and each minute represented like a week or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I watched I watched a movie one time on Netflix where they were cave diving these kids and they thought like they lost their friends in a cave or somebody like that. And so they went in there and it turned out like the sky was moving above them, but it wasn't like just a regular day. It was each solstice passing over them.
Oh
That's how
yeah,
quick time was going in this cave. And so like one day, an hour in there was like a whole year. It was
that's crazy.
wild. Yeah. And then they found another part of the cave where like time had stopped. So there was like a dinosaur and like a caveman and a dude from modern era stuck in there, and all this stuff. I was like, this is fucking trippy.
What
And
movie is that called? I want to check that out.
it's called like Time Loop, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really dope. It's like an offshoot movie. I don't, nobody. Anyway, nobody good in it is what I was trying to say. um, they have like. Do you think there's cryptids that aren't scary, like just stuck here hanging out, or like
Yeah.
what's, or just like I know there's the whimsical, what is it, the frog man? That's kind of where that image of the frog with the, like the
Are you
monocle
talking
and the
about
stem.
talking about the one in like Ohio? They have a legit Ohio frogman.
Yeah, I think they have him in a couple places, and Ohio is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he like? I don't think he does anything wrong, right?
I don't know anything about that one. Honestly, I don't know a damn thing about that one,
Yeah,
man.
I think it's like a frog with a wand, that
Yeah.
walks around, and he's like, I know nothing about him either. I was like, dude, I wonder if there are cryptids out here who are just, like magicians,
Yeah.
or messing around. They live on Earth too, and they're like, no, bro, I eat rocks. That's why your garden keeps getting messed up, or something like that.
That'd be a trip, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't. Who am I to say? Um, do you think like they've always been here from the beginning of time? Like you said in Genesis, when the mate, right, happened.
Yeah.
Do you think they were meant to be here with creation?
I think, yeah, as far as that, like it's as far as God said, when he created man, he created the animals, the beasts of the field, all that, birds of the air. Like he didn't freaking go into detail. Like it could be, man. It could, you know. I'd like to think so. That's just me.
What do you think should be the number one prepping point? I'm going to ask you a couple questions about prepping now, because this is still a we figured it out show. We got to know everything here.
Yeah.
But what would you think like your number one point of prepping and training would be?
Number one point in prepping is security, because if you don't have security, you can't protect your family, you can't protect your goods you store up, you can't save people, and you can't defend. That should be number one, is to get a gun, and then you follow suit with everything else. Medical, food, water, stuff like that. Because if you have medical, food, and all that stuff, you're gonna have random people come up wanting that. How are you gonna protect yourself with? Like, what are you gonna
Absolutely.
do? That should be number one.
If you throw in supernatural and cryptid, would that still be your answer across the board for prepping?
Oh, the weapon switches up a little bit, but to me, it's the God, of course, have a relationship with them, know your word, but if God don't come through sometimes, your gun's
Yeah,
your backup.
yeah. Nice. I think it's good to have like a bug out bag, right? Or as some people call them, like a God bag, like get out of Dodge.
Yeah, that, or if not, like
Scoop
a
it up.
get home bag too.
Okay.
Because some of us that work wherever we work at, like, because all the guys on my cryptid hunting team, we all work at the same area, so we already have a game plan if something does happen. Because you're not just prepping just for cryptids, you're prepping for like war, you're prepping for EMPs, whatever, just basically, just to get you home, that will sustain you for a couple of days until you can get home. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think there's a hierarchy in cryptids?
I'd like to think so. Yeah, because to me, according to cryptid lore, there's more powerful ones, and just to me, it's almost kind of like the military, right? You have like this diamond formation, and you got your top tier dudes, and then it just kind of works its way down, right? So, according to cryptid lore, in my opinion, the top tier dudes like the Wendigo, right?
Yeah.
Something spiritual. You can't really it's impossible, almost impossible to kill it. They're huge. They're mean. They're almost like a fallen angel, in my opinion. And then you got the Yeti, and then you got Bigfoot, Dogman, stuff like that. It just keeps going down and down and down and
Is Satan like the OG cryptid? The serpent?
down. Oh yeah, the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it could be.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. And I think, I want to look some more into that Leviathan stuff, right? Because even though God demonstrated by killing that,
Mhm.
in the book of Job, that thing's running loose.
Yeah.
So I think that's very interesting. Um,
Did you hear that there might have been two of them?
two Leviathans?
Yeah. So if you read the book of Enoch and Jasher and all that, it talks about there might have been two of them. That's the reason why God killed one, and then I don't know where the heck he like trapped one or whatever. That way they wouldn't mate and overpopulate the world.
Yeah, it talks about being trapped in the book of Job, so
Yeah.
in the Jewish Talmud too.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense. He made male and female of everything else. Why would he not? He's like, nah, not that one.
my
Yeah.
only argument to that would be that's why he moved Behemoth and Rahab also, because they couldn't fit all together in the water.
Mm,
But that would also explain why he would kill one too,
yeah.
because you can't fit two of them in there.
Yeah.
Um, I do love the biblical cryptids. They're some of my favorites. I love Bible stuff, and I love how it can be like actually scary, being someone who was into like the scary stuff.
Yeah.
I can still come over to the Christian side and be like, well, this shit's pretty wicked too.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
especially on like David's Mighty Men, right? You look at have you read about that?
No, but I know what you're talking about, but I have not read any of it.
Yeah, look, one of the guys had like a face of a lion, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of those couple guys he had were like huge, like over 9 foot, like they beat up armies, with David.
Really?
So it's like, this guys could be part Nephilim. Who knows, man?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Matt calls me part Nephilim because I'm 6'4".
You're a foot taller than me, dude.
I what was I gonna say? I lost it there. Yeah, yeah, they do, right? Like angels, thinking about it, it's like, dude, if there's all these wicked things out here right now and an angel's the one who comes down and handles it, they're probably pretty scary in themselves.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. And they all have, multiple faces on each side, and they, just go straight to wherever they're. It's like, well, they gonna get you. They're gonna get you. Right on, dude. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, man.
I know you got another show coming up soon, so we'll let you get off here. But first, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. If you guys want to get a hold of me, I got a podcast. It's Cryptid Warfare. You guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But I'm pretty active on Instagram and also like my Gmail. It's cryptidwarfare@gmail.com, cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. So if you guys got any stories or anything, or you guys just want to chit chat, hit me up there. If you guys have any problems, you guys need any prayer requests or anything like that, anything harassing y'all, hit me up on my other email. That's cwops@protonmail.com and cwoperations17905@gmail.com. So we'd love to help you out.
Nice. We'll put all that in the show notes. I think that's awesome. And if you are a cryptid out there or somebody dealing with a cryptid, let us know. Like you said, we'll talk to you, and Drewski will handle it. Is it how often do you succeed when you have to handle a cryptid?
Space like 50-50.
What do you find like gets rid of it when you mean 50-50? What are the wins?
So the wins either honestly the 100% of wins is just prayer, anointing the house, praying over the land, teaching people about Jesus and pointing out the things. Example real quick, we had a certain situation where this lady put an offering in a cave and it opened up a portal basically for things to come and just to terrorize her. So we we basically just got to talking to her about that and the things and the steps. Even though she was doing it not in a harmful way, but in a good way. We're just teaching her like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that. So, we just kind of talked to her about Jesus and stuff, and we actually prayed over, this certain area in her home and stuff like that. So, and next thing we know, just all this stuff just kind of stopped. So, but as far as that, in the physical part, just like shooting at things, just kind of chase them away if they're physical, and that's my goal is to try to get one. So, and then stuff it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Make a mannequin out of it, whatever.
That's so awesome. I hope you do.
If I get one, man, I'll send you a finger or something.
Yeah, yeah. Cut me off at
You
your
and Matt, a damn freaking claw or something.
Yeah.
That'd be so sick. Nice, dude. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and that, dude, awesome, awesome stories. Like some of the things and you've experienced, dude, are wild. We're gonna have to get into this more at some later time too,
Yeah, man.
because
Definitely
that's
come back on
wild.
for sure.
That's awesome. Right on, dude. Everybody, we're the end of days best friends. There will be cryptids in the end of days. You're gonna need someone to call, and it's gonna be the cryptid hunters. I'm Michael,
And I'm Matt.
and that's Drewski, and we'll talk to y'all later.